The Champions League final taking place this Saturday, tomorrow actually, PSG versus Arsenal in Budapest, Hungary. And we thought we'd go through some of our major storylines to watch going into that game tomorrow. So Lahoud, what are you looking out for tomorrow in that game?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me coming into this was the race for fitness, and two players in particular, both playing right full back. For PSG, Achraf Hakimi, in my opinion, the best fullback or the best right fullback in the world right now. And for Arsenal, Jurrien Timber. Arsenal without Jurrien Timber, the back line, for as formidable as they've been, it just looks like something's missing. And Troy, I know that you've come in here, I've come in here, Jimmy, I know you have strong opinions about how Arsenal's back line is and where they stand in world football. But the clock is on, the race is on. You think of the matchup between Timber and Kvaratskhelia, that could be the matchup. If it's not Timber, if it's Mosquera, that could decide the match in itself.
100%.
And on the other end, Warren Zaire-Emery has been fantastic. I thought in the second leg against Bayern, he definitely gave an outstanding account of himself, but it ain't Hakimi levels. And it's just amazing to think we're going into a final of the Champions League and we're looking at the fullback options as to high level, to elite, and the two best fullbacks on the right side in world football. And we're asking the question, how fit are they going to be?
Yeah, I agree.
I like that storyline.
No, it's great.
I actually want to borrow that.
You can?
Instead of mine. Yeah.
Who's next? Me?
No, I think you talk about Lahoud's.
No, I totally agree. I think everything with Timber is huge because Arsenal haven't actually decided who their right back is since in the Champions League they've started with Ben White. He got found out against Sporting Lisbon. They then put Mosquera in. He didn't give a good account of himself, so they've been in this weird situation. Obviously, Ben White is injured now, so it would be Mosquera, but it doesn't give you that confidence as well because the one thing with Kvaratskhelia is he's going to keep coming. Yeah. So you can keep him quiet for 40 minutes, for 50 minutes. You've got to keep him quiet for 98, nearly 100 minutes. That's very, very difficult. And I think on the other side to it, I prefer Emre in midfield. He just gives you a bit more. Yeah. I know he's a right back, he can play right back, but just gives you a bit more in his natural position.
I think with Mosquera, too, he's not a threat with the ball.
Yes.
So that becomes a little bit easier for Kvaratskhelia and Nuno Mendes to kind of box Bukayo Saka a little bit and maybe help that double. If Timber's in, he gives a little bit of a different threat, and that forces Kvara to maybe defend a little bit differently there. And as Nuno and Kvara get higher up the field, now you can counter maybe on that side of the field. With Zaire-Emery now on the right back side, he's going to give you more defensive stability because Hakimi just wants to go all the time. So there's a little bit of an advantage there from like holding your ground positionally. But this makes the left side of PSG where they're going to go try to generate more. But
on the flip side to that, if Arsenal put Martinelli there, and he's someone who just speed demon that keeps going, that's not his strength as well.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
That's why he's here. Troy Deeney, everybody.
Oh, no. We've both been on coaching.
Good one, Lahoud. Troy, what's your storyline?
I actually can't remember, is the honest truth. So this is what to tell me. Because I gave like 3 storylines, so I can't remember what I nailed down to. What did I say? Tell me.
They're going to put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's something about every time Arsenal play.
Yes, there we go. Sorry. I said like 3, and I didn't know what we actually nailed down, so I apologise. It's me, guys. You know what I'm doing. Anyway.
Good preparation for the show, though.
No, anyway, let's stop it. Historically, defensively, when you look at Arsenal, again, to your point, Lou, they are very, very strong. But actually, if you look at it, when teams attack, fearless attack, think to games like Bournemouth, you think to 2 times against Man City this season at the Etihad and also in the Carabao Cup, which we were there, it becomes worrying because normally people are so worried about what Arsenal are going to do and the set-piece threat that they actually get you into this Klitschko-style game, which is, I'm going to hit you with a 1-2, and I'm going to hug and hold, and you're going to play at our pace. This PSG team, just look at the goals, look at the assists, look at the way that they play. It is frightening that they can go, anyone on the front line can get at you. Yeah. Dembele will drop off into the hole. We're going to show you a little bit more about that later. The 2 centre-backs, while they are very good in a great partnership, they actually prefer to have somebody played up against them they can be physical with. When Dembele drops in, as we saw, and we're going to show a little bit later, try not to give it all away, and we saw Haaland do this as well. If anyone remembers the first game at the Emirates, where he gets the ball, links deep, and then sprints away, it's kind of their weakness. So if you have Dembele dropping in there, one of them have to come out. Now you've got your 2 fullbacks, which is probably the weaker area of the 2, which is a bit unfair because of how good they actually are. Then you've got runners. Now you've got a problem. Now you've got 1v1s all over the pitch. You've got Barcola, you've got Doué, you've got Kvaratskhelia, whoever they choose to go with, and you're expecting your fullback to not only defend, but slow up as well, which is the hardest thing to do for any defender. So I just wonder what Arsenal will do defensively, because they don't want this game to become a basketball match, which is you attack, we attack. They need it very structured, very solid, which is what Arsenal do best. But on the other side to that, PSG need to raise the tempo because that's what they do best. So it's a really exciting tactical battle that's happening, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is, well, the battle in midfield, right? They say, what's the cliche? Games are won or lost in midfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's going to be interesting. We talk about the back line, but who's going to sit in the sixth position for Arsenal? Because you got to cover Vitinha, who's got 1,500 passes in this competition. That's 400 more than second, who's Pavlovic from Bayern Munich. I mean, he's just always on the ball. So how do you get around him? And if you sacrifice someone to kind of sit on him in a man-to-man situation, well, then you're giving up space somewhere else. And you got Joao Neves, who never stops running. Fabian Ruiz is back on the team. I just don't know how Arsenal's going to solve that problem, which will then kind of trickle down to the back line and where they're trying to create space, those pockets for Dembele to drop into, like you're mentioning. And then you got Kvara bombing on one side, and we'll see if Zaire Emery is going to be the other side. But you had the other wingers as well. There's just too many options. I don't know how you lock in every single player on PSG. You're going to be, I don't know. Arsenal's going to be vulnerable somewhere, and PSG are so good at exploiting those vulnerabilities.
Okay then, everyone. Now it's time for my storyline. And unlike Troy,
By the way,
I remember it.
this was actually impressive. Your storyline was impressive. I'm building it up. Go on.
Oh, wow.
It was.
Thanks, Troy.
You seem a bit nervous.
Well, I don't normally do storylines like this.
It was good.
That's why,
But I thought I'd talk about the minutes both of these teams have played, because leading up to this final, PSG have rested so many players, and Arsenal haven't been able to do that in the Premier League. I actually read a stat that in the expected 11s of both of these teams, Arsenal in the league have a combined 23,000 minutes, and PSG have a combined 16,500 minutes. So a big change there. Obviously, PSG play 4 less fixtures in Liga, but it's just be interesting to see, will we see that pay dividends in this final? Will PSG look like they've got a lot more energy? Because I think when we go back to the final last year against Inter, you could really see PSG look a bit more energetic than Inter, because obviously it went down to one of the final match days in Serie A. So will we see that this year? Yeah,
look, I think sometimes that's a bit of a knock on PSG. Let's not forget that PSG came off the beach. Arsenal had a full preseason. They rolled right off the beach into their season. And the big reason why I think we really see, if you look at the numbers even more in depth, PSG's been injured for most of the season.
Most injuries,
So you have your Ballon d'Or winner who's been injured for much of the season. Kvaratskhelia, who's very durable, has had injuries. Hakimi has had months of injuries as well. So I think there's a bit of caveat in that. But there is something to be said about the emotional durability you have to have if you're Arsenal to go through the slog of the Premier League that PSG do not have to experience with Liga. We're all shocked that Liga wasn't decided earlier than it was. By PSG standards in French football, they shouldn't have been in the title race with Lens, but yet they were. But that's the one caveat that I see when I look at the actual minutes. In domestic football, that's one thing, but the quality of PSG, the numbers do not lie. The goals they're scoring, the performances they're putting up there, we have to look at that first and foremost.
Yeah, and then also the fact that the league helps them as well. Liga literally will take games out the schedule and move it to make it so they can be more successful in the Champions League. So that's another thing. I think in years gone by, and historically, we'd always say the league is not strong enough that PSG can do that. I think Liga has actually got so much better over the last 3 or 4 years. And then now, if you look, just take it on last season. Under this manager, under Luis Enrique, they got to this situation where they build to be fit, fresh for the back end of the season. So he will tinker with the squad. He will move people around, change different styles, just to make sure we are ready for the big games at the end of the season. And last year was proof of that. This year is proof of that as well. So I think it will play a part. And I think it's normally would be like, yes, that's PSG. One thing Arsenal had as well, which would be great. The season was ended, the last game of the season, they changed everybody. So even though it's not a massive 3-4 week build-up, 1 whole week off as players is huge.
That's massive.
I think there's an emotional component too.
Yes.
They won the Premier League, so there's going to be a little bit of a
down.
Yeah, and maybe they could relax because they were in the running for 4 trophies, didn't win the first 2. They got one, something they hadn't won in 22 years. They're being called bottle jobs, and then all of a sudden they win it. Can they come into this now just like?
Do you think the Champions League?
Money at this point?
Do you think the Champions League is perfect though? You know, sometimes you win a game and you play West Ham, and you go from that high to like that. Now it's a Champions League final. It may be about that, and it emotionally does the opposite.
But then the World Cup looming is the only thing. Like this is the last game of the season without a World Cup behind it.
Yeah, I get
It's
you.
a little bit different how you approach it, maybe.
But I think that's where the X factor comes in. The biggest X factor when we come to finals, that is the Champions League experience. We've all been there as players. When you've never been there before as a group, as a manager, and 20 years as a club, you get the high of highs in the first 20 minutes. And that's where you talk about how important it is, that first goal.
Yeah.
If you're Arsenal and you concede that first goal in the first 20 minutes, there goes the feel-good factor. Because the reality of, oh crap, this is PSG, the reigning European holders. If you get that first goal, then North London forever, sing the song, do whatever, you continue the high.
Yep.
Nice. Jimmy, what's your storyline?
All right, so we're going to get into a lot of tactics, everyone, throughout the rest of the show about this particular game. We've already discussed it a little bit. I kind of want to get on the fun side of things. And my storyline is, what is Kylian Mbappé thinking right now? He leaves PSG and they go on to win the Champions League. They win the quadruple. They probably should have won the FIFA Club World Cup as well. Arguably, now they're in this one Champions League final again. If they win it, we're talking about dynasty. We're talking about potentially one of the best club teams ever. Kylian Mbappé left that and they got better. Then he goes to Real Madrid, who had just won the Champions League before he arrived. And they can't win a significant trophy without him. They haven't won a La Liga, a Copa del Rey, or a Champions League since he's arrived. Yes, he's putting up numbers, scoring buttloads of goals, 43 in this past season. But I wonder what he's thinking just watching his other team. Maybe he's so far up his own behind that he doesn't really think about that stuff at all. But I just thought that was kind of funny to wonder what he's...
Mbappe is also the James Harden of football.
Oh, gee, he's got the World Cup, though.
I'm just saying.
All right, then.
Just saying.
This is the fun aside.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What's Kylian Mbappé thinking right
No,
now?
I think that's a good one, Jimmy. I like